Well, hello everybody. This is Dr. Cornelius Quek. I am your professor and your instructor for your upcoming class, Teaching to Transform Lives. I'm very excited. I've been looking forward to this class for several weeks now. And every time I look into the preparation for this class, the more excited I got to finally meet you and spend some time together in learning together. And so I just wanted to jump in here real quick, make a video to say hi to you and to introduce myself, because it's always good to know a little bit about your professor and also to introduce the class. So a little bit about myself. I was born in a tiny little nation on the tip of Southeast Asia called Singapore. And I was born into a Buddhist family. And I was radically saved at 16 years old. And if you know anything about Asian culture and Asian ancestral faith, is that you never, ever depart from your ancestral faith, because that's the uttermost act of contempt and disgrace to your family. And so when I got saved at 16 years old, I was kicked out of my family. I was disowned by my parents. My dad actually told me that if I stepped out of the house, that I would never bear our family's last name again. And so I knew very early on that my faith would cost me something, and it was 100% allegiance or nothing. And so I'm glad to tell you that that's been in 30 some years ago, and I'm still following Jesus today as passionately as I did when I gave my life to Jesus at 16 years old. And so that kind of set me on this journey of getting to know God and making him known. I knew from that point on that I really wanted to serve God for the rest of my life. And so I have been in full-time ministry now for about 23 years. And it's been a blast. It's been a joy. It is my uttermost privilege and honor to know the Lord and to serve him. So I currently reside in Redding, California with my wife, and we're privileged to be part of a community and church called Bethel Church with Pastor Bill Johnson. And we have lived here for 7 years now. And my wife is a seminarian as well, and she is also a teacher. And so we feel called to impart and to teach to a generation and equip them for the gospel and for ministry. And so I have been a pastor in Singapore. I have been a missionary for with YWAM, Youth for the Mission. I've traveled around and have been to more than 25 countries doing ministry. And so I've seen quite a bit, and I've been around the block, you could say, and was exposed to all kinds of different ministries and countries, cultures, ethnicities, ways of doing ministry. And so I'm very excited about this class. As recipients and ambassadors of the gospel message, we have a great responsibility to communicate the gospel and the gospel message with integrity, with character, with passion, and with power, the demonstration of the power of the Holy Spirit. And so I'm very excited about this class, and I know we're going to have an amazing time together for the next 7 weeks. So let's jump right ahead into the class order and the details. So I want to show you some slides as we talk about the class. So what is this class about? Okay, and the focus will be on is more of a motivational and practical focus to prepare students to teach or preach the scriptures toward the goal of transformation. Okay, we're going to talk about a integration of theology, methodology, and communication skills essential to being a teacher, preacher, and communicator. So those three terms, teacher, preacher, and communicator, we're going to use those terms interchangeably throughout this course. And there are two dual emphasis about this class. One, we're going to focus on the inner landscape of a teacher's life. And secondly, we're going to talk about effective teaching methods, okay, of communicating or being a communicator. Okay, we're going to attempt to connect our craft, our teaching craft, preaching craft, communication craft with our inner world. Because good teaching does not begin with good technique, even though we're going to be talking about that. But really, good teaching comes and begins with the identity and integrity of the teacher. Okay, only a transformed teacher will be able to effectively transform the students. So let's talk about textbooks. This will be your primary textbook here called Creative Bible Teaching. And it's basically highlighting 5 practical sections. 1, how do we study the Bible? Why is it important to study the Bible? Is the Bible still relevant today? How do we focus on the message? How do we structure lessons? How do we teach and deliver the class? And how do we evaluate our preaching and our teaching? Our next book is one that I'm very excited about. It's called The Courage to Teach, Exploring the Inner Landscape of a Teacher's Life. And this book really evokes the heart of what we as teachers and preachers and communicators really do. So I guarantee you're going to fall in love with this book because it's rich. It's talking about heart transformation. Really is going to show you what it means to teach and to communicate from your heart. Okay. And then lastly, your third book, your required textbook is Communicating for a Change. Okay, this is a book by a phenomenal communicator by the name of Andy Stanley. And he talks about strategies for communicators seeking to deliver captivating and practical messages. Okay, and in it, he highlights 7 concepts or 7 principles to engage and empower your audience. Now let's talk a little bit about assignments. Okay, number 1 is what we call the Insight Journal. Okay, this constitutes 20% of your course grade. And basically it is a personal reflection and journal based on the textbook, The Courage to Change. And this is where you will enter a weekly 2-page journal for every chapter of the book. So there are 7 chapters in the book, and our course runs for 7 weeks. So every week you will enter a 2-page journal. And I will provide for you a journal template for you to follow when you start your week 1, okay? Number 2, discussion forums. And really, this is the lifeline of the online classroom experience. This is actually a part of the class that I really enjoy because I get to read, I get to interact with all you students, and for the students to interact with each other, to express our thoughts, our opinions, what we've learned, and how we're interacting with the content of the class. So each week you will respond to a discussion question, an article, a reading, or a video. Okay, you will post or reply with your initial post each week by Wednesday. And then before the end of each week, you will post a substantive response or questions to at least 3 other students. Okay, so my encouragement is to not post your initial post too late because you're going to have to give time for the rest of your class to respond to you. And then thirdly, we have a book critique. Okay, this is 10% of your course grade. This is a book critique on your required textbook, Communicating for a Change by Andy Stanley. This is a 3 to 4 page double space book critique. Again, I will be informing you of the expectations and the format of this book critique. 4th, sermon observations. This is 5% of your course grade, and you are to observe and critique 3 sermons throughout the course of your 7 weeks. So specifically on week 2, week 4, and week 6, you will listen to 3 different sermons from different teachers or preachers of your choice. Okay, the only condition is that the sermons will have to be at least 30 minutes long for you to adequately observe and to critique it, okay? And again, I will provide you with a sermon observations sheet for you to follow. And then lastly, and this is kind of the heaviest part of your course assignment, and I would encourage you guys to start looking at this early, okay? Don't leave this to the last minute or else you'll regret it. Okay, so this is a teaching, preaching plan presentation, and evaluation. This constitutes 40% of your class grade. The teaching plan really is consists of 4 assignments within one. Okay, so it consists of 4 parts. Number 1 is a teaching or preaching worksheet or outline. Okay, again, I will be giving you details about that, but basically you come up with a skeleton, an outline, and worksheet of a teaching or preaching plan. Okay, and then following that, you would write up a teaching or preaching manuscript based on your teaching or preaching worksheet and outline. Okay, and then beyond that, you will actually get to teach or preach your manuscript or your outline. This is an actual presentation that is to be recorded, and it is for 10 to 15 minutes long. Okay, and lastly, you will evaluate your teaching or preaching plan. Okay, so again, this is a big chunk of your course grade. It is actually the heaviest part, and it is time consuming. And so I would again encourage you to look through your course syllabus early and make sure you have an idea of what is expected of this class. Okay, and so that's it as a way of introducing the class, and I hope when you guys get into the course syllabus that you'll really look into all the details and plan and manage your time well. Okay, and so I really look forward to being with you in a week's time or whenever our class starts. And I really look forward to meeting you all and interacting with you, interacting with each other, and we're gonna have an amazing experience together. Okay, so I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, God bless you guys. Bye-bye.